Yo, dudes and dudettes, what's going on with y'all? Given that I basically do the show for myself, I decided to review Hitchiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the charming, goofy sci-fi novel by Douglas Adams. I vaguely remember this novel, but I remember enjoying it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on into this. Hey guys, Editing Chris from the future here, and I just wanted to point out whenever I started doing this review, as well as my next one, I didn't actually have anything in the review bucket, but now there's a ton of shit in there, and I just wanted to say thank you retroactively. Seriously, I love whenever you guys give me suggestions. Please feel free to keep them coming. So, one of the things most immediately apparent is that Douglas Adams has a very unique writing style. It's almost as if everything described in the story is a satire report from a psychologist, and he often takes fairly long detours to explain seemingly random things. For example, we're introduced to our main character, Arthur Dent, who is arguing with the leader of a demolition company as they are trying to demolish his house so that a bypass can be built. Then Adam explains that a bypass exists so that people from point A can get to point B very fast, and people from point B can get to point A very fast. People at point C, being a point in the middle of A and B, wonder what the hell everyone is in such a hurry about, and why they would want to get to the other side of the bypass so quickly. It's a very odd way of writing, and while it is padding in a way, it's also very entertaining padding. Remember kids, there are no rules of writing that cannot be broken. It's also worth mentioning that the entire first chapter of this story does not matter at all. Except for the parts where it does. What I mean by that is that we spend some time on the issue of the bypass and the struggles of certain people on Earth, but soon after, the entire Earth is destroyed in order to make way for an interspace bypass. So while the actual struggle of Arthur's house and the bypass don't really matter at all, it does matter in that it allows the lives of the aliens to become instantly relatable, in the sense of bureaucracy, and blends the known with the new. So, sure, we're talking spaceships and aliens, but they're dealing with a bunch of people complaining about them doing their governmental day job. So, before the world goes kaboom, Arthur's friend, Ford Prefect, who is secretly an alien, drags him up from the mud where he's lying in front of a bulldozer, and convinces the demolition leader to lie in the mud in Arthur's place in a truly great bit of dialogue. Then, he brings Arthur down to the pub and tells the barman, 6 pints of bitters, please, and quickly, the world's about to end. It's fucking so batshit insane, and it's treated as if someone is simply asking for the time of day. I love it. It's a huge class of tone, but again, no rules of writing cannot be broken. And somehow, it just works. Then there's a huge bit about how unbelievably important a towel is for an intergalactic hitchhiker, which is explained by an electronic book called, and follow me on this, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is basically a galaxy-wide encyclopedia. Actually, it's basically Wikipedia. Anyway, we are introduced to the president of the universe, I think, and he's a hugely public figurehead who actually doesn't wield any real power, but is a huge eccentric who is wonderful doing at whatever it is he's doing in the public eye. He's a great distraction and an enormous show-off, and his name is Zaphord Beetleprox. There are a number of things that stuck out to me, but prime amongst them that he spent 2 years in prison. So a bunch of science people are unveiling a new spaceship with such an insane engine in it that I'm not even going to pretend to try to explain it. But the end result is that Zaphord hid stuff from himself by altering his own brain. So now sometimes he gets the idea to do things without knowing why he's doing them. Also, it turns out he's Ford's best friend, and he half seduced, half stole a girl Arthur totally failed to pick up at a party named Trisha. Anyway, back with Arthur and Ford, they hitched a ride out with a group of people called the Vogons, who super suck at poetry, and actually use that as a form of punishment to deal with hitchhikers. This part includes a pretty funny dig at a friend of Douglas's Adams from college, noting him as the worst poet in the galaxy before the Earth was destroyed, and that makes me chuckle. Then we get some backstory on Ford. The highlight for me was that Ford's father died of shame because Ford is unable to say his own name in his native tongue, because shame is a terminal disease in some parts of the galaxy. Anyway, Ford and Arthur get chucked into the void of space, and due to the extremely insane engine on the previously mentioned spaceship, they get rescued. Although I do have to call out that the way Douglas Adams assumes you can survive for about half a minute in space is by holding a lung full of air in as you go out. That's a quick way to explode, but the book is old, so whatever. Anyway, they meet Zaphord, Trisha, and Martin the Robot, who is the best part of the book, as a terminally depressed robot. Now, it's mostly played for laughs, but is also a shockingly good expression of depression. But because it's in a robot, I think it actually manages to work out. Anyhow, they travel to a planet made by people who built custom-built planets for others, and discovered that mice commissioned the Earth to be built as a supercomputer. Okay, follow me here. Eons ago, a supercomputer was asked what is the answer to life, the universe, and everything, and the computer waits about 10 million years and answers 42. Naturally, everyone's a bit pissed, and the computer points out that they really didn't even know what the question was that they were asking. So they had to build an even better supercomputer to work out what the question actually was. Sadly, Earth got kaboomed before it was quite done thinking, so now the mice need to make a new one. However, The moment they learn that Arthur is still alive, they decide they just need his brain. The group, not wanting Arthur to die from this process, runs away, and the mice happen to just make up a question to bring back to everyone, which is, how many roads must a man walk down? Anyway, then a group of space cops try to shoot down our group and have a pretty amusing conversation, and then their spacesuits explode. Turns out Martin the depressed robot talked to their spaceship for a while, and it committed seppuku rather than continue to talk to him. So their life support ended, and it ends with them grabbing a quick bite to eat at the restaurant at the end of the galaxy. Now, despite that batshit insane plot that sounds like a meth addict was told, make it weird, make it interesting, this is actually a book that has the most coherent plot of the whole bunch. Now, if you want a really compelling story with character arcs and good writing, you should probably look somewhere else. But it's goofy, it's fun, and it has enough oddness just to check out for its own sake. My personal score is 6.5 out of 10. It's good, not great, nothing to write home about, but it's still a good amount of fun. Let's go ahead and take a look at that bingo card. And we might actually have a contender for the least filled out bingo card ever. Pretty interesting. Anyhow, that's all for this time. So if you have something else you want me to review, leave a comment down below, let me know. Until next time, drink plenty of water, tell your parents that you love them, and stroke your mustache at night.